here, and it's Friday, September 25th, and it's Raiders Thrive, our regular weekly series with myself, Crystal, our CYC, and Michael, Mr. Assiamah, our social worker.
Hello.
So, how are you guys doing? How is the week?
Oh, so far so good, Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. How about you, Crystal? You like Fridays?
I like Fridays. I love Fridays. They're amazing. This week went by really fast, which is a good sign. It means you're busy and you've got a lot to do. So yeah, it's been a good week, and I'm really excited that it's Friday. It's going to be very, very nice out this weekend. So that's also something to look forward to, right?
Yes, this could be the last hurrah for summer-like weather.
Yeah.
I want to take advantage of it. If I could come back Monday with like a burn on my face, not that I encourage that, but I just want one last hurrah of, I had a fling with summer.
Yeah.
So as mentioned last week, we said that the focus of our videos would be a question that students have asked over the past number of years. So we've chosen a question. We think it might pertain to, it might speak to a lot of people because it has to do with forgiveness. So the question goes like this. This was asked by a student. How do I know if I should forgive someone? What for? How can I move past what they've done? Kind of a deep question, but we think it's appropriate because life is still happening, and with emotions kind of being raw because we're all affected by the quarantine and mask wearing and sanitizing hands and physical distancing. And so with emotions already kind of on high alert, then conflicts and tensions can still happen. And so life is still happening, whether mistakes or things are being done between friends or in family situations or that sort of thing. So we're looking at forgiveness. So how do I know if I should forgive someone? What for? And how can I move past what they've done? Anybody want to jump in?
So I think I could start with this. So for me personally, and this is subjective, a big thing about forgiveness is I try not to think about the other person or think that I'm doing it for others. I find that, when I keep things inside of me or I let certain things affect me consistently, it doesn't do me justice. I'm one of those people that I think a lot. So when I have a situation or incident with somebody, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm an overthinker for the most part. So those compulsive thoughts are something that I realized just through life experience that, when I allow things to sit on my chest and without speaking on things or without, making a decision to even forgive, my mind and my heart can't get off of it. So because of my high sensitivity, I'm one of those people that, just throughout just life experience, I try to always forgive people, even if that means I am like, that doesn't mean that I'm speaking to the person or that we've repaired things, right? I just don't let things sit on my heart. That's just step one. That's first thing for me. I'm the type of person where you be like, oh, Mr. A, I thought you didn't even like me anymore. I'm like, no, I forgave you a long time ago. We just don't talk, but I forgave you a long time ago. So I have the ability to do that. I think, in terms of how do you know if you're ready to forgive somebody though? Sometimes over time you realize that the feelings are not as intense. So that gives you a different, because once you take out the intensity, the heart then starts to kind of, beat slower, which allows for the blood flow, that allows you to just kind of get that positive feeling again, flowing through your body again. I think, if I'm even able to pray for a person without feeling mad, and without kind of having that animosity, that's also an indication that maybe I'm ready to forgive, and I try to pray for everybody. And I do, that's my intention, to pray for everybody. There's no blame in my heart anymore for this person and what they've done to me, and I try not to blame people for things because I believe that what others do to you and how you perceive those things are two different things.
Yeah, good point.
Because you be taking everything personal, because sometimes there's reasons why people do things that you might not understand, right? So I always try to lead from a place of forgiveness, even when I feel there is a certain level of intentionality to this thing that's happened for us, So rather, and I think for me, whenever I use that approach of forgiveness, it allows for me to start gaining lessons. Once I let go, the lessons start coming. So it's like let go and grow. You know, there's also those things where when you're holding on to things, it keeps you in a small state. But when you let go, it's almost like you're lighter and you're able to elevate past the situation, you know? So just imagine things holding you down. And that's what things do. You might not feel it. It's the pressure, you know, because it takes energy to be mad and to hold something against somebody. It takes a lot out of you emotionally, psychologically, sometimes even spiritually, just to hold these deep feelings of anger towards somebody. It could be a family member, a sibling, a friend, because you know, that's how we're wired as humans, right? We focus and we love people. So when we feel jaded, those emotions go to also the negative. So being able to let go, I start being able to kind of take some of the lessons that helped me to navigate relationships, to be a better person because of things. And I always feel better letting go than holding on. That's the thing.
Can I say something about that? Because you mentioned how we can dwell, we can overthink things, and then it stays in there, and we're always kind of carrying this anger, this bitterness, this whatever. I think that in itself, if we hang on to the anger and, oh, I can't believe they, you know, I'm so hurt, and if it affects our day-to-day life, if it's harder, if somebody does something to me and I'm just so upset by it, and then I have a meeting with, you know, other teachers, and I have to be on because I'm meeting with, you know, Crystal and Mr. A. If I can't focus on them or my friend or whatever because I'm so bothered by this hurt, maybe that's a sign that something is, you know, work needs to be done to move through that.
And what you're speaking of, research says trauma. You see, trauma is quickly remembered. This is why you could have these reoccurring thoughts and feelings. And you know, you get exposed to something like, oh, it's bringing me back to a bad place. That is the definition of trauma. Part of being able to survive and actually, as I said, let go and dealing with trauma is being able to kind of, you know, create space and, you know, let go of some of that, because those things that you can't forget, that's the trauma piece of it. Yeah. And this is how people, you know, you continuously have a heavy chest, you become very triggered, you know, you get put in situations. So once you start the letting go process, you gain a greater awareness of what actually happened. You could process it, you could work through things. You could actually work through it sometimes with even that person that offended you. Yeah. You know, so when I say growing, it means sometimes not just learning, but you actually get to repair. The repair starts when you start looking at it like, what really happened here? Sometimes it's repairing relationships. It's starting to do some of your own internal repairs. And so I think when you're in that place of anger, and because anger then could be associated to fear and all these other different things, right? So before you even get to the place of lessons and being able to overcome the anxiety that incident is having for you, you have to, you know, have a process. And as I said, for me, I try right from the beginning to look at things as what somebody has done to me. I have the power to control how I let that affect me. And then it doesn't matter how it affected everybody else, because everybody goes through things differently. How you operate and regulate your heart is totally different from how somebody else is. So even within a group environment, even if friends are trying to hold you down with negative energy, right? Because sometimes that's what the peers could do. Like, oh, why are you going to be his friend? Why are you going to forgive him? You don't have to. Because your heart, your mind are totally different, right? And everybody's affected by things. So don't let how other people are processing things affect the way you process things. Have your own internal, I guess, mechanism that allows you to overcome and actually be a better person. It doesn't mean you're friends with that person. I'm talking about having the peace that allows you to function without thinking compulsively about, oh, this person did this person's against me. So yeah.
I like how you pointed out that what the other person did and our perception of it are two different things. You know, so someone could say something to me, either, you know, I don't know, some derogatory comment about me being Italian or a woman or something. But then my perception of it, like Mr. A had mentioned, it could trigger other things that have happened on those levels. And then I'm adding more baggage on this one incident. So that is two different things. What one person does to you and then your perception, because you're bringing all your past and other things that may have to do with that in it as well. So I think self-awareness is really key here.
Yeah, I was totally
because
going to say that for me personally, I find that if something has happened to me, I can be very reactive. And so I try to be very mindful of that, because I don't want to say something that's going to either trigger somebody else, because I don't know what other people's experiences are. So I really try to be mindful. And when I'm upset, yes, you can be heated and you can be reactive. So I always, always, always try to take a step back, and I really try to just kind of like dissect what happened, reflect on that, and then figure out what's an appropriate way to respond, because I know I'm going to respond emotionally if I respond right away. And so I always try to just take a step back and just like collect my thoughts, own those feelings, give myself some time. And like Michael said, like I really need to just like sort out my thoughts and sort out my feelings before I address it. Because if I address it, I'm going to address it emotionally. I'm going to say things, I'm going to do things, and I could potentially hurt somebody else. And I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to contribute to it, right? I want to heal on the inside as well. And I want to, get rid of that burden of that anger and that animosity. And for me as well, I will stew in something and it will eat away at me, and it will affect every aspect of my life if I don't deal with it. So I really need to, for myself, I need to sort my thoughts. I need to sort my feelings. I need to address what were the biggest concerns to me, but I have to talk about it. People don't know how I feel. People don't know how something has affected me. And really, I essentially am the only one who suffers from it, right? So I feel like I really, really, really need to address things and get things off of my chest. And I might have misinterpret something that somebody said. Somebody might have said something completely unintentional, and I just don't know until I get those feelings off of my chest in a respectful way, but in an assertive way, and just trying to be kind of like gentle with myself and with also the other person. But until I just have those discussions and I talk about, what it is that bothered me, I can't kind of get over that. And I 100% feel that when I talk about things and I just kind of clear the air, like I just feel the biggest burden and the biggest weight lifted off of my shoulders. And there's going to be times where maybe we're not ready to forgive, but time will heal some of those wounds, right? So you have to be gentle with yourself and give yourself that opportunity to just kind of feel those feelings and allow them to happen, but to also address them, because you don't want it to affect other aspects of your life, right?
I just want to comment on something you said, and you've said it a few times about owning your feelings and feel what you're feeling. So I want to talk a bit about that, because I've known people who, growing up in their family, were told, "Oh, you're just too sensitive," or "You're just too sensitive." And now, as an adult, well into her adult years, she's learning that she can give herself permission to feel what she's feeling. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to feel what we're feeling.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay to feel the anger. It's okay to be hurt. It's not okay to hurt other people out of that anger.
Sure.
We have a right to our feelings, and no one is too sensitive. You are who you are. Some of us will be affected by a little comment more than someone else. So one, we have to give ourselves permission that I'm feeling this and it's okay. Mm-hmm. Or I'm not okay with what just went down with my group of friends. And then you might want to put out a little feelers with, were you offended when so-and-so said that or did that? And they may not be, but then some people might be like, well, I was a little uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, so there was something, I'm not thinking that it's out. So sometimes we need that affirmation from someone else to say, okay, did they see it the way I did too? I'm really bothered. And so give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling.
For sure.
You know, and the other thing I want to say about this, because I've had students in my office over the years, you know, and you know, the three of us, we're trained in active listening, so we don't do a lot of talking. We let the students talk. And there have been a few times when you know, a student will be like, I don't really want to say that. I'm like, just say it. And so sometimes we censor our thoughts. And I don't think we should censor or judge ourselves for what we're thinking or feeling. Yeah, sometimes it could be bad, but we need to know, where's that safe space I can go to talk to someone where I could sort out my thoughts. And I know that each of us, we provide that safe space where you can vent, you can ramble. We're not going to judge you. So feel what you're feeling. And I forgot the other thing that I was going to comment on that you said, because I just distracted myself with all that, because I really just want to give yourselves permission to feel what you're feeling. That's like key.
See, the big thing about feelings and emotions too is, you know, sometimes you could actually get sick because of it. You start feeling like, I'm sick to my stomach because the feelings are so heavy. Lose your appetite, you know, you start losing sleep. This is why it's so important to know what's going on, right? So really think about it. You went through an experience, and now because of that experience and how you are processing it, you're now losing sleep, you're not eating, you know, and certain experiences we have those type of impacts on us.
I always tell my kids, you know, how are you feeling? Like, do you have a headache? Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, you know, this happens. I'm very tired. And I'm like, you know, that's your body's way of talking to you. So if your body's talking to you, how do we address it? You have a headache today. What happened today? How much water did you drink today? You're not feeling well. What did you eat? What did you not eat? Right? So always listening to that as well.
Very important, because
I just
there's
go ahead,
you know,
Mr.
there's physical indicators of
100%
of heaviness. Listen to yourself. You know, sometimes the loss of appetite, these are all things that you might not know that the thing that you're going through is affecting you, right? So really, as we're just talking about forgiveness, you know, all these things build up, and you know, the little stuff we call baggage, right? Imagine carrying somebody else's baggage.
Yeah. I want to comment. I want to share personal experience, obviously not naming names, but there was someone in my life who did something, and it was pretty drastic. It affected important areas of my life. And this person, it didn't seem to faze this person, what they did. But I was carrying it for years. And I remember, like, I would pray about it, and I would try, like Mr. A mentioned earlier, you know, if he can pray about a person without getting upset, and I would try, but it would still make me upset. But I still kept trying to pray and trying to move on and recognize, okay, this one person shouldn't be given this kind of power in my life to affect years. And I remember there was a time when I crossed paths with this person. This person didn't know that we were at the same store. I saw this person exit as I was going in. And that was the first time. So this was about, I'm going to guess, 4 or 5 years after the original kind of incident. And because I had prayed about it all those years, so when I saw this person exiting the store, I noticed I was not angry. I was not upset. And so that's when I knew, okay, I think I can let this go. I don't need to give it airtime. I don't need to talk about this situation. I don't need to talk about this person. And just another aside, like a lot of us, we have issues with parents, and I love my mom, and I talk about this a lot. But you know, being Italian and I'm the youngest and the only girl, the guilt trips could be really bad. And it wasn't until I met my husband, so I'm well into my adult years, and he said, you know, when I notice when you get together with your friends, you tend to talk about your mother a lot. He's like, don't. And you know what? By not doing that, I then help myself move out of that. So sometimes we do things that we aren't aware. We just do them, but it keeps us in that space. So these are just some thoughts for you as you reflect on your own life and the hurts that you're dealing with, and just pay attention to yourself. And like we said, how is it affecting your body? Are you eating? Is it affecting your eating? Is it affecting your sleep? You know, we keep saying this, and I know not everyone exercises, but exercise really is amazing. It gets the blood flowing, the endorphins are released. I exercised Monday night, didn't get around any other night this week, but it actually, my exercising Monday night put me in a good mood all week.
That's
So,
it.
you know, so like, we're not just saying this because, oh, exercise, oh yeah, eating right and sleep. These are, they're not going to cure anything, but they do help.
You know what? The thing is, forgiveness is an individual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So ground yourself and get to know yourself and know your triggers, right? Because sometimes as things are happening, we don't even know why we're being so significantly affected. As I said, sometimes some of us have history. We all have trauma. Trauma is one of those things where we've all experienced from the day we were born. So these things also make us a bit sensitive to things, right? So as things are happening to you now and you're finding that this impact that you have, really take time. But understand that anger is one of those things. It's like fire. The more attention you give it to it, it's like pouring gas on fire. It's gonna keep growing, And the only way to really turn out that fire is to find ways to rechannel that energy. As we're saying, go to the gym. That's a great way to channel that. That's a positive way to get that fire out. Speaking to somebody. Finding, going to church, like finding some of that mindfulness strategies, right? And then really giving it time. Time is also one of those things where fire could be there, but if you give it enough time, it will eventually go down, right? So time, get good exercise, mindfulness strategies, and talking to somebody. Those are great ways to really deal with forgiveness, or especially things that are very heavy on your chest. You cannot expect to get over an incident that has impacted you overnight.
Yeah.
We have to be very realistic with how our heart works and how our mind works. It doesn't happen, because think about it. This thing has been happening to you for 25 years. How are you, or 5 years or 10 years? How are you going to repair it overnight? So think about it, especially when people that are significant to us hurt us and do things, right? The reason why the impact is so strong sometimes is because of the relationship, how deep it is, right? So please give yourself time. It's like breaking something that, it's like breaking a bond. It takes a while for it to heal, right? So really take time and be patient with yourself and allow some of that good energy to come into your life.
And I feel like I should I am the chaplain, so I feel like I should bring up some of the faith stuff. So I also want to qualify, like Jesus says in the Gospels, because Peter asks him in one scene, how often should I forgive? And I forget what answer he gives, but Jesus says no, 77 times 7 times. And that is a perfect number for the Jews, for the Jewish consciousness, the Jewish imagination. So it's almost like Jesus saying, always be forgiving. However, I want to qualify that to say it doesn't mean that we should be doormats and let people treat us like garbage. Okay, we're also created in the image and likeness of God, and we have a dignity, and that dignity should be reflected in how we treat ourselves and how other people treat ourselves. So it doesn't mean we need to be doormats, but along the lines of what Mr. A was saying in the beginning, he's always forgiving, because you don't know what people are dealing with. And so the other thing I wanted to add is I heard this a long time ago, and it just keeps resounding in my head. We take things personally when people do stuff, but it's not personal. And when people do or say things that hurt us, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. It doesn't make it easier to forgive, but it helps put things into perspective. And the second part of the question was what for? Why? And I'm going to assume that means like, why should I forgive? Like what for? And I think we've talked about it. When we forgive, we release that energy, because we can hang on to the anger. And of course, in the Catholic faith tradition, and I know there's other Christian denominations that have this, but we can go to the sacrament of reconciliation. And so sometimes the other person, we may not get an apology from them. We may not get a sense of justice or an acknowledgement of that, of what they've done and how they've hurt us. So then it's really, do we choose to hang on to this, or are we going to let it go? And in the sacrament of reconciliation, this is a powerful ritual and experience, because we're often harder on ourselves because we feel a lot of guilt and a lot of shame. Watch Brene Brown. She talks a lot about that. You've heard me talk about her before. So the sacrament of reconciliation helps us learn to forgive and love ourselves. Because once we hear the words, because we're experiential, we're humans, we learn by experience. So once we go in that ritual of naming stuff, and then hearing the priest say, I absolve you like God still loves you, and there'll be a conversation, and you walk out. And I've mentioned this when you guys have come into the chapel for the reconciliation prep. When I walk out of reconciliation, I feel like having a party. Like, I just feel so much lighter, and I'm full of joy, and I'm just like, all right, I feel great again. I'm full of the love. And so that's what for. We don't need, just because someone's hurt us doesn't mean we have to carry that.
Mm-hmm. So I saw a video that, so it's a man, he's on the escalator. While he's on the escalator, somebody starts poking him in the back with a stick. And in this video, without knowing it, the average person, you're standing on the escalator and somebody starts poking you, out of anger, you would turn around and sometimes like, yo, what are you doing, and actually cause a confrontation. But because he, what he practiced was just always, not just letting letting the thoughts actually get to his heart, not just kind of reactive. Because what happens is a lot of times we are, because of anger, because of just perception, we become very reactive. He looked back and he realized that the individual was what? Was blind. You see, a lot of times humans are poking us with things. That's how life is. We're always getting poked to one thing or another. But if you don't take the time to actually slow down and look behind and look at this person that is actually causing this harm to you, because he was actually being like, imagine somebody poking you in the back of your neck. But this is the person was blind and had got onto the escalator and didn't know what was ahead. So rather, this guy turned around, was able to help the man. So let's practice a little bit of patience, a little bit of just taking a second to breathe, because as I said, life people are always poking us, right? Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it is not. And when you give yourself that time, it allows you to actually regulate better and not harm people in the way of sometimes people that we think are harming us.
Yeah. Not making things worse, not reacting, taking a moment. This is why a lot of, and you'll hear it from us and you've heard it from, experts. It's important to, when someone does something and you're angry, count to 10 seconds. Take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths. Take 4 deep breaths. As many deep breaths, or even walk away. I know I've been in relationships where, a misunderstanding happens and then we're both angry and we just have to walk away. Let's cool down. And it could be 2 hours later. It could be the next day. But cool down, take a deep breath, and realize there's always more to the situation that you don't see.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. I think we covered it. Didn't we?
We covered that. I loved it. Yeah, we did. We did a great job.
I mean, I'm sure there's more we could have said, but we can't cover everything in a short span of time. But hopefully this has started helping you with your own self-awareness, your own self-reflection, and it's giving you food for thought to be a happier, more peaceful person. All right. Well, any closing comments, my friends?
Give it time.
Ditto.
Ditto. All right, so that's our episode. Enjoy, and again, if you have any topics you'd like us to address, feel free to email any one of us. Reach us through the avenues that through the school, and we'd be more than happy to discuss it. And we'll keep you anonymous. All right, have a good weekend. Be gentle with yourselves, and I'm going to suggest. It's going to be a beautiful weekend, so try to get outside and enjoy some of the sunshine, get some natural vitamin D. Put the devices down, turn them off, walk away, and just enjoy your friends or a walk or whatever this weekend. All right, take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week.